So, hello, my name is Andy Prescott. I'm a third year MFA acting candidate here at the University of Florida. And as part of my third year, we have to intern anywhere in the world, something to do with the arts or that's in some capacity. So, I actually chose to stay here because I worked with Jeffrey Pufal of the Center of Arts and Medicine. And yeah, he just approached me with this idea about a play. And he told me that all these different initiatives of storytelling. And that's kind of why I'm an actor, why I'm pushing forward in performative, uh, you know, uh, studies and everything, and hopefully want to make a career out of it. But I've gotten my studies as an actor, both on stage, film, television, and even voiceover. But I'm looking at it more realistically. Going out to LA, if I'm not the guy in front of the camera, I still want to be someone that supports those that are, and I say camera, I mean microphone, on stage, helping others tell stories. If it's not me, then I want to keep doing that and serve other people. So my connection with UF, there's actually to enter this program, I went through a cattle call process. So it's cattle call auditions. I had 2 minutes to present myself with two contrasting monologues. So I did a classical piece from Henry VI, Shakespeare's Henry VI, Part 2 from Gloucester. And then the other one was from a new play by Jessica Dickey, who's a new playwright, called The Rembrandt. And I gave 2 minutes of my life on stage, and UF, through a course of interviews and back and forth through emails and telephones and everything, said, hey, we want you. So I've been here since 2017. Again, it's my third year. And that's how I found UF. I guess the one memory that stands out to me is that my undergrad was at the University of Nebraska, Omaha. And at the time, Florida, the college baseball team was competing or competing for the pennant, or the College World Series Cup, or whatever they win. I don't even know what they win. But so they were showing up to the College World Series that's always in downtown Omaha. And I was so excited because I was about to go there. And I thought it'd be so cool to check out my team and hopefully even support them to a win. And sure enough, they won it for the first time ever in 2017, the summer of 2017. And so it was kind of almost a sign to say, like, hey, you're making the right choice. All the stars aligned and everything. And I actually I got picked up to do one of those in between inning kind of promotional things. And so it was a pizza box relay, and it was at the time we were playing LSU for the College World Series in finals. And it was four members that were fans of University of Florida versus four members that were fans of the university, or LSU. And I was the last guy. They were like, all right, you seem like you're the fastest. I was like, okay. So what we had to do is we start with one pizza box, and then just one person walks in, I want to say about 20 yards to someone else, and then they bring back two, and then the other person brings three, and then it's on to me to bring four pizza boxes without dropping them. If you drop, you have to start over. And so we were actually doing really, really well in this relay, and it's going pretty quick. I get my four boxes and I start walking, and we're not supposed to run, but the LSU was very determined. The LSU fan that was fourth was determined to beat me, so he kind of sprinted and dove, and that got a huge crowd reaction. But UF, we actually won, so I think I got like a $50 gift card to Pizza Hut, so that was kind of a cool thing. And it was just a fun experience to have the excitement of going to a top university like Florida. And for me as a performer and an actor, I did all my training in Omaha, Nebraska, and I was really interested to see if I would be castable, or even, if people want to use me outside of that market. And sure enough, in Florida, I found a great belonging as a performance artist, but also finding other stories of people that have been marginalized or that have been silenced or oppressed so that they can't tell their stories. So I have found a new interest in working with LGBTQIA youth, which I've been doing through the Center of Arts and Medicine, finding undocumented immigrants and hearing their stories and experiences in a troubled immigration system within the United States. And so I want to continue doing that work. if I make it one day, maybe as a big actor, it's not something I ever want to stop doing, and that's reaching out to the communities and helping people tell their stories. So I think that's enough for that prompt. How can my experience at UF be improved? Could have been improved. So I'm still here, so it could be improved. I think, so for the School of Theater and Dance, they don't get many veterans. And what's funny is that if you look back to ancient Greece, old, generals and warriors, soldiers in the Grecian army, if you were to survive and retire out of that, were used as actors. So the very basic roots that many people will say start in Greece. Some people say even earlier than that in ancient Egypt, but we'll just go with ancient Greece. And they would use warriors. They would use old soldiers that, because of the discipline they had strong frames and discipline that they could stay in formation. They could carry the mask wear and the large kind of costume pieces that were customary for Greek theater back then. And so I'm kind of bringing it back old school, super old school, by being a veteran and now an actor and a performer, and going even further to make sure that I help others tell stories. So anyways, that's preface to say that I think veterans, just having more information for resources, for outlets, funding community, I think is huge. One thing I found from other veterans such as myself is finding belonging, being surrounded by younger students who didn't have, like myself, an 8-year commitment to the United States military, and then starting school late. Sometimes we're looked at as kind of I don't know. There's different feelings I get from others. So having that sense of community with other veterans, knowing where the veterans offices are, events. So making sure that they're put on a sort of email service or whatever, so that they can get that information when they need it. This final one: what kinds of experiences would you hope for the future of UF community? I think we're at a kind of a divisive time in the United States history. I'll probably look back 10, 20, 30 years from now and just shake my head at kind of the ignorance that we're finding, making its way to the surface yet again. So I think including stories of women, of LGBTQIA communities, playwrights of color, of immigrant stories, and not sugarcoating it. I think really telling visceral stories. One of the great things that I've found through UF, it was the Stanley Proctor Oral History Program, and taking real stories from real people without any publicist around, and just raw kind of interview data. I mean, they've got thousands and thousands of hours here collected, and they've been used for great projects, such as in 2017 we did something called what was it called? The Voices of the March, which followed the 2017 March on Washington, the Women's March, and then was then echoed throughout the country. But then within a week was the Trump inauguration. So we also had interviews from that. And so we kind of interspliced data between Voices of the March, the Women's March, and then voices from the Trump inauguration. So in that play, I had to play kind of a despicable white man, which I foresee myself playing in futures, because I think more of those stories are being told. And it's a bit jarring because I don't not at all support any of these views of hate, divisiveness, racial bias, and oppression. I see myself as an ally, and I struggle with sort of a white guilt, because I know what I look like and I know how I can be perceived. And so sometimes I wish I could just go, I'm one of the good guys. And yeah. But what I would, so just more raw stories, more opportunities for people of color, for marginalized groups to be able to tell their stories and really paint a picture of what's really going on and not sugarcoating it. Not to get super personal, but there's a lot of personal things in my life with my family where communication wasn't there, and a lot of nasty things happened behind closed doors that are now resurfacing. For instance, my father doesn't know who his biological father is. And so, a quarter of my life, of my past, is essentially kind of ambiguous. I don't know where a quarter of me comes from. So we have great initiatives like 23andMe and other kind of, finding your roots type of initiatives out there. But that was kind of a new thing for me, but also learning of other things. And I won't get too much in detail, but I think people have to really embrace being uncomfortable because it's uncomfortable for others. It's uncomfortable for people of color, for immigrants and LGBTQIA to go through what they go through. And with UF, I have openly sought uncomfortability by learning about their stories, and really my heart has changed. And just looking back 10 years from now of how I carried myself and the values that I held dear, it has shifted so much. My paradigm of what I care about and who I want to hear stories from. I almost to the point where I wouldn't want to cast me. I wouldn't want to hear about another white straight guy's, journey or life. We've had enough of that. And so again, I say it's a bit jarring because in support of telling those stories, I'm probably going to have to play those despicable white men. But hopefully outside of that story, I can also show that I care about those that are brave enough to tell those stories and continue forward. So I think that's all I got. I've seen your talk, and hopefully it wasn't too much nonsense, but thank you for your time.